Did you know that you can get 12 cuts of chicken from a chicken? Well, I'm Go2 Chef and stay to find out how. Alright, so normally you see me using my chef knife, but not today. We're going to go ahead and switch out this chef knife because it's not appropriate to cook a chicken. And we're going to swap it out for my boning knife. Yes, boning knife, which you can tell it is because it's a little bit thinner of a blade, which makes it easier to go around the bones and joints of your chicken. Alright, so this knife you could tell is made by Mercer. I'm always using Mercer products, and I love my Mercer knives. And this one you can find the link for in my link tree. Alright, so chickens. Easy to butcher because they've got so many different joints to them. You got, your breasts, your legs, your thighs, and your wings, excuse me. Now we're going to make this chicken workout, make sure it's ready to go for getting butchered. Note that it's a completely unnecessary step, but my mom told me to never play with my food. Guess what? I'm going to play with my food today. And, flexing like Hulk Hogan. Alright, so what we're going to go ahead and start with here is we're going to get rid of the skin of the chicken, right? And with that, we're going to section off into our legs and thighs in 1/4. We're going to cut it down the middle, splitting with the breast. You can split it down the middle through the chest piece, or some people prefer to split their chicken down the back along the spine. There's not really a wrong way to do it. I just don't do it that way myself. But I'm going to section off by quarters first, right? I'm going to get, my breast and wings. I'm going to get my thighs, my legs. And, for me, I'm doing boneless, skinless chicken for the most part, right? My breast is going to be boneless, skinless. My thighs and legs are going to be skinless. So when I go to get that joint there that I'm exposing for you, it's easier for me to cut away the skin, right? As you can see, this, chicken has a lot of skin. You don't need to go crazy to get rid of the skin. You just need to cut it a little bit. Chickens can actually tear pretty easily for the most part, which may seem weird and counterintuitive. As you cut, there's a lot of this membrane, right? But when you're separating a thigh, right? Let's get back to how to butcher this thing, right? So, as you'll notice here in a second, right? You've got to find the joint, right? And if you've never butchered a chicken, right, you got to find the joint. And when you do, you just pop it. Just pop it out of joint, out of place. You dislocate it. Okay, is a good way of looking at it. You see that bone right there? How it's nice and exposed. That means I've popped it out of place. Now, it makes it. It's the easiest way to actually cut the chicken, right? To me, it's the easiest way, right? You get a nice little clean cut. You didn't cut through the bone. You're not leaving fragments that are out. And once you got it cut off, right, you just put it off the side. And you got that little bone socket there, and we're just going to do it to the other side, right? Now, I like to butcher my own chickens, right? I don't own any chickens, so I don't mean it like that. I mean, I like to butcher my own chicken that I buy from the store because typically I can get these chicken for quite a bit cheaper where I'm located than, buying it already pre-butchered for me. And that's not to say I don't buy my own pre-butchered meat. Sometimes, depending on what I'm doing, I'll use pre-butchered meat, but um, I like doing it. I like having the ability to control my costs this way sometimes because despite what you think, I'm not a multi-millionaire. Okay, so working on the wing, right? Wings are going to be done the same way. You got to find this joint, okay, and it's easy to find what I like to call the shoulder joint. And you got to pop it out of place, right? Like with the thighs, you got to pop it out of place, and then you just take your boning knife, right, and you find that joint, and you just cut around the joint. It's not terribly difficult to do once it's dislocated. Now, I tell you this much though: if you try and cut through this without it being dislocated first, you're gonna probably end up cutting through bone. Okay. Uh, Now, I learned how to butcher a chicken initially when I went to culinary school back at Johnson and Wales when there was a campus, uh, you know, in Denver years ago. And it was a great learning opportunity, and I was able to hone my skill elsewhere. All right, so let's go ahead and enough of me pontificating about my school of choice that I initially went to. We're going to go ahead and finish cleaning up this chicken a little bit so we can go ahead and get into cutting off the breast pieces, right? You got to remember, like these, if you saw it earlier and you're seeing it now, there's a lot of membrane under the skin, right? It's kind of like what holds the skin to the meat, and you just got to cut away at it. It can be, it's not tricky to clean, it's just there's a lot to it. All right, now we're going to clear out this wishbone here. And as you see, you got to go in there and feel around for it. This feels kind of steamy for just trying to go grab a wishbone. All right, begin serious. All right, so we get this wishbone out, right? You got to make sure you get this wishbone out. If you don't get that wishbone right, it's your chicken breast won't cut off as cleanly. So I just go in there, I get it all out, and I finish cleaning the chicken. Yeah, almost forgot that wishbone. Never forget the wishbone, right? And then you can, of course, tell people, hey, make a wish, split in half, bigger side wins. Secret to winning the wishbone challenge is always go for the thicker side. Anyways, so when you're splitting a chicken breast, right, and you're taking off the bone, you got to find what the sternum, right? You just find it, and then you go right next to the side of the sternum, right, and just make a nice smooth cut all the way down to separate the chicken from the chicken and the chicken from the bone, right? So we're not doing any crazy cuts here. We're not doing anything super fancy. This does not require heavy knife skills to be able to accomplish. All right, so as you see, I'm very gently just going at it, right? Now, when you've got a bit more experience when you're trying to separate these things, you can go a lot faster. Just be careful. But like I said, I remove it from the bone, as you can see here. And if you think that, well, there's going to be a lot of waste, well, no, you can turn chicken carcass into chicken stock. All right, so you got your breast. Look, it's nice and clean, big old piece, and it's separated from the carcass. And on the backside, no muss, no fuss. But now we got to remember to do this to the other side. Anyway, so yeah, when you butcher a chicken, you hear people talk about this bone stock or this bone broth or whatever. You can make chicken stock with the carcass of the chicken and a simple bit of mirepoix, salt, pepper, and water. And if you want to know what mirepoix is, it's uh, celery, onions, and carrots. Pretty simple. And then some herbs and just some herbs to add extra flavor in them. Anyways, enough on that. I'll actually show later how we can make a mirepoix. Come to think about it. Anyways, so second side done, right? It's pretty clean. Got a little bit of membrane there that I didn't clean off properly, so I just removed that now. All right, so I told you we're going to break this down into 12 pieces, right? But we wouldn't be doing ourselves much good if I didn't break down everything. So we're going to start with the chicken wings, right? So you got your drumettes and your flats on your chicken wings. And for this one, you dislocate it, right? You try and cut through it. Sometimes it's you can't, so sometimes you have to cut through the bone. Sometimes you don't have to. But the easiest way to find it is you just twist it till you dislocate it, and then you just cut straight through. Makes a nice clean cut, right? So there's your drumette right there. And then you forget that there's it's not a, finger per se. I'm going to call it a finger. I just loosen up the joint a little bit and I cut straight through. All right. And makes it easy. Put that off to the side so that way I can use it for my stock later. All right. So doing for the second wing too, we just dislocate and we'll cut straight through. Oop, this one's getting a little away from me a little bit. No worries, I'll get it through. Okay, so separate out. We got our drumette again. Okay, now I said skinless earlier, but on my wings, I never go skinless on my wings. All right, when you cook it and you want to crisp it up, the skin is kind of a necessary thing to have to crisp up your chicken when it comes to a wing. It'd be almost you'd be breaking rules, unwritten rules, mind you, but rules nonetheless, handling chicken when you do that. Alright, so the ever-loving thigh. I totally forgot to keep my camera recording for the one because the battery died on it, so I was able to get it charged and get you the second thigh to clean, okay? So the thighs and legs you got to be very careful on because they're a little bit fattier and they carry a lot more membrane than, say, the breast area. And all I'm doing is I'm not cutting into the meat, as you can see. I'm literally cutting the membrane. Oh, got a little bit of meat. I guess I lied. Anyways, no, I try and cut only into the membrane area in the skin, so that way I can actually get nice, clean separation. Because I want to save as much of that meat as I possibly can. And don't forget, there's a lot of membrane connected on the other side, so we want to remove that as well. And you see like how I'm cleaning up all that membrane. That's not just skin. I want it all gone because it's not that it's harmful or anything to eat. It's kind of weird and slimy, and personal preference, I don't like it, and it bothers me at grocery stores when it's not removed either. All right, so if you see how I'm de-skinning the leg here, right? A lot of people think, well, how do you de-skin the leg? Well, this is easy, right? When you pull it down like a sleeve, you just kind of go around in a circle, cut at it a little bit, pull the skin back a little bit, keep cutting at it in a circle, and eventually you'll be able to just pull it off. But yeah, as I was saying, at grocery stores, some butchers at grocery stores or whoever butchers it before it makes it to the store shelf tends to leave a lot of that membrane on there, and it's weird and slimy to me. I'm not a huge fan of it. Some people, I don't think a lot of people think about it, but I mean, I've worked with food for almost 20 years, and over 20 years, I should say, professionally for almost 20 years, and um, I'm gonna be honest with you, it bugs me out, right? All right, so we're cleaning up these thighs. We're gonna get ready here in just a moment. You'll see that I'm gonna separate these two, right? And if you're keeping track so far, you've got, the wings, the thighs, and the breast, right? So I'm currently working at 6 to 8 pieces at the moment. But this one's simple, right? So all you have to do is you find that joint, you cut into it a little bit, right, to kind of break off that tendon, because there is somewhat of a strong tendon down there, surprisingly strong for a chicken leg. And then once you break through it, you just go ahead and finagle your leg to separate it, and then you just cut through the joint, try and go around, try not to shave off any bone if you can avoid it, and boom, you got one leg. And I'll go ahead and save you the rest of that. Okay, do it to the other side. All right, so we're going to separate our pieces, right? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all beautiful looking pieces. Man, I should be a professional butcher, but I don't want to be. All right, 7, 8, 9, and 10. But wait, how did I say 12 when I only have, as you can see here, 10 pieces? Well, folks, this is the secret to that 12th piece. On the back of your breast, right? If you ever wonder where people get chicken tenders from, boom, chicken tenders are on the back of the breast, especially when you cut it away from the bone. You would never know it was there unless you've learned from a butcher on how to cut the meat. All right, so now I'm going to show you this, right? We're going to count out our pieces here to show you that I have all 12 pieces of chicken as promised.